All right, everyone. Today we are going to look at two main things. We're going to look at downloading some brush packs. We're going to get those uploaded into Photoshop, and then we're going to start an assignment. This is going to be the Stretch and Explore segment, looking specifically at brushes for this first unit. So for the first step, we are going to start, you're going to go onto Schoology, you're going to go to our class page, and then in materials, there's going to be a brush pack link at the very top. You're going to get clicked into this. It's most likely not going to open in Schoology, so when you get to this page, you're going to just click on the blue link. It's going to prompt another tab to open, and then this is going to be essentially the general offerings that Adobe Photoshop has on their site. With these ones, some of them are more specific to either a certain material or certain style. The one general one that I do want you to download today for sure is going to be the Mega Pack. If you want to download some of the other ones, you can, but mainly focus on the Mega Pack for today. With this, you're just going to double click. There's going to be no preview available. You're going to go to download, and then you'll most likely have to hit download anyway. So once you hit download anyway, it's going to start downloading. This one is usually a little bit larger, so it does take usually around 2 minutes for it to fully download. What you're going to do then is you are going to go to your File Explorer. You're going to go to Downloads. And then what you'll do is you're going to click on that Mega Pack file. If you don't have Photoshop open right away, it's going to prompt it to open. It's going to download those brushes. And then the change that you'll notice is when you go to the brush tool, you can also hit just B on your keyboard. When you go into the sizing menu, instead of just seeing the general dry, wet media, and special effect brushes, you are also going to see the Mega Pack, and this is going to have much more variety as far as brush type. This one is nice because it kind of gives you a little bit of everything as far as different material effects and from like just brushes to smudging to altered effects as well. So ends up being pretty comprehensive. The one thing that I'm going to also have you add today is going to be a separate folder for favorites. The one downfall with Adobe Photoshop is just kind of brush organization. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a new brush group. You're going to title that group. So I did just favorites for mine. And then as you're going through this assignment and just as we're generally working in Photoshop, if you say find a brush that you really like, you're going to click, going to drag it into that folder, and then this allows you to essentially just save those brushes that you really like. So then when you start another project and you don't quite remember which brushes you used, it's a good way just to kind of organize those top ones that you like so that they're easy to find again. So that can be helpful. We're also going to make some alterations to our workspace because the setup that's defaulted is called Essentials. It's a good starter. It's not the best for digital drawing, so we are going to alter this a little bit for the unit that we're on specifically, as well as just to make it a little bit more manageable on our end. So the main thing I want to switch out is the color component that's up here. Right now this is set to the hue cube. We're going to change this to the grayscale ramp, since with the first project that we're going to be on, we're going to mainly look at just black and white. We can also close out this tab group that's in the middle, and then we do want layers. And then two options that you can add in is one that you can add in that can be helpful is going to be looking at navigation. So being able to see kind of like a whole shot of the document, and then being able to see that instead of having to, when you zoom in, kind of continuing to zoom in and out. So it can be helpful. So that'll be the navigator. I'm going to click and drag that one in between. So this can be nice when we get into the project files themselves. The other one that can be helpful is if you don't like using the brush tool up here, you can also change the window so that the brushes are instead over to the side. So then we can bring this over here, which can be nice. It does allow you to have a little bit more minimal of these drop-down menus that can sometimes get in the way of your project. So it can be helpful. And then once you have your workspace all set up and you have that Megapack downloaded, we're going to go back into Schoology. You're going to go back to Materials. And then you're going to go to the Unit 1 line illustration, September 9th through 13th. You're going to go to the Download, Unit 1 Stretch and Explore brushes. And then once this tab opens up, so you're just going to hit Download. This one will download pretty quickly. And then when you have that ready to go, you can find that again in your File Explorer. We're going to get it opened up into Photoshop. And then the main process for today is going to be looking at some of the brushes available and testing those out. So I'm going to start to look through. I'm going to start to pick out some of these brushes that I like. So I'm going to start with this one here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by looking at some of just kind of the general use and testing a few things out. So this one is the Charcoal Champ one. And then the first thing I'm going to have you test is on sizing. So I'm going to have you change your sizing from, we're going to do 5, 20, and 40. And then with that, you're just going to test in that space. What you do is really up to you. It doesn't matter too much. You can also use the bracket icon on your keyboard to enlarge and shrink those down. So then I can go to 20, go up to 40, and just to kind of test out the different sizing. And then the next thing that we're going to look at is going to be looking at the flow. This is going to be a setting that looks at, it's kind of the taper when you draw, how much it tapers at the ends when you start drawing and when you finish. It usually varies depending on which brush it is. So we're going to test out either 0 or 1%. It might change depending on the brush that you're using. You're going to test that out at those 3 settings of 0 or 1%, around 50, and then at 100. So the main thing that this is looking at is when you start to put down your brush initially, it's going to taper, so it's not going to be the full thickness. When it's at that lower, it's usually just going to start on that same thickness. This is also helpful if you're doing like a very general outline and you don't want your lines to taper. You want to turn your flow all the way down. And then the next setting that we're going to be looking at is smoothing. This refers to essentially how much the computer helps you have smoother lines. So with this one, we're also going to test out 3 settings. So depending on the brush, again, it's going to change. So this one starts at 0. So I'm not seeing any smoothing. Bring that up to about 50. And then up to 100. Smoothing is, since there is a little bit more computer power that's happening, you will notice a little bit of a lag when you go up to those higher settings. But this can be really nice, especially when you are looking at outlining and you want your lines to be smoother. Essentially, it's the computer helping you to have smoother lines, so it's picking up less of the sensitivity and a little bit less of just the natural shake that is in your hands. So can be a helpful one. I would say adjust depending on how much you like it. Some people really like smoothing, some people don't like it at all, and some people like to kind of sit in the middle as far as settings goes. So it's really up to you. And then the last setting that we're going to look at today is going to be this icon up here with the little target and the pencil. This one is referring to essentially pressure sensitivity with how either kind of like how dark or light the line is. So it allows you to have, or not how dark or light the line is, how either thick or thin. So instead of controlling how the sizing of your brush and having it be all consistent, this can be nice if you want to have kind of that variation from thick to thin. So when it's on, you're going to see that variation. When you change the pressure, when you have it off, it's going to just stay at that consistent size. So that one can be nice to try out. There is also an option for pressure for opacity. This is the one that's going to be that pressure is going to change either how dark or light your lines are. So if you want to have those midtones without having to suggest or without having to manually enter those, the pressure for opacity can also be a nice setting to test out today. But those are going to be the main ones that you're going to look at. I'm going to have you test out 10 different brushes. I would say as you go through the packs, make sure that you are looking for the ones that have the brush icon. There is some smudge tools that are, and some blend tools that are mixed in. The main icons that you're going to avoid are going to be these little ones that have like a hand with a finger. And then the other ones that you should avoid for now, it's going to be a brush icon, but instead of just the brush, there's going to be a little like water drop next to it. So avoid those two for now. Just focus on the brush ones themselves. But that'll be the assignment. Once you get all finished with this, you're going to go to File. You can do Save As. Just enter your name at the front of the document. You're going to save it. And then you're going to submit that file then back into Schoology for the assignment. So that'll be it for today. I'll be coming around to answer questions, so let me know if anything's coming up. But you are good to go.